Today on Design for You, it's all about entertainment in your home. Entertaining not just our families, but our guests is an important part of life. So we want to make sure that your home is a fun place and a well-curated space to be in. A big part of entertaining is feasting. Our design makers are cutlery manufacturers and designers, Nicolson Russell, giving us a practical demo on creating the perfect table setting to entertain your guests. Next, we see a dinner party setting created by Adami of Copperleaf Studio at this year's Design Joburg. Then we chat to Dlamini-Nxumalo of Hush Interiors, who takes us to the entertainment areas in a home she's designed. Stay inspired right here on Design for You. Hello and welcome again to Design for You. My name is Pilani Bubu. Today we talk about entertainment in the home, and our guest is Dlamini-Nxumalo of Hush Interiors. She's going to take us through her thinking on this particular entertainment space. But before we chat to Nokutula, here's Nicolson Russell, designers and manufacturers of exquisite cutlery pieces.
Nicolson Russell is a South African company. We've been operating since 2007, based out of Johannesburg. So we import, design and manufacture designer cutlery from around the world. We do cutlery for retail. We're in quite a few retail stores across South Africa. And we also do for the hospitality industry, which is events, hiring, restaurants, hotels and private lodges. So I was a air hostess. I worked for Emirates and lived overseas. We were on a flight to Sydney and there was a bad storm, so we actually got grounded in Thailand, in Bangkok. We were there for 4 days. So the crew and I decided to rent a car and to drive out of Bangkok and head south to a place called Ayutthaya. While we were down there, I found a family making cutlery. It was beautifully made, very shiny. I say the magpie effect. I was drawn to the shiny objects. And I bought 2 sets, one for myself and one for my sister, which I gave to her for her wedding. 2 years later, back in South Africa, my sister was entertaining one night, and she had the financial director of one of the top retail outlets in South Africa at dinner, and he commented on the cutlery and said that if I brought it in, they would sell it. And that was the beginning. I took it as a hint and I quit my job, went overseas to Thailand, found the family that we originally bought the cutlery from, stayed about 2 months with them, and they taught me how to make cutlery. And that was the beginning of Nicolson Russell. That's how it all started. I'm very old school. I still enjoy sketching. I sketch my designs. They sometimes come to me at night in the funniest times during the day, and I will sketch. I then have a team of people that I would give my sketches to. They then put it into the computer, they make it graphical. We send it overseas. We have 4 factories overseas that manufacture for us. They would then make the mold based on the graphics, and then they would make a sample and send it to me. So that's the process in which we design the cutlery. Today I'll be doing a demonstration on how to set a table. This can be used for a formal or an informal setting. It's called a European style, which is basically how most South Africans set the table. The predominant part of setting the table is the napkin, and where it is placed, it's placed in the center on the plate, not on the table. That's what makes it the European style. So to set a table, we'll start with the glassware and how it should be placed on the table. At the top is the water. To the side are your wine glasses. Furthest away from you will be your red wine glass. Closest will be the white wine glass. I'm now going to demonstrate where you would place your cutlery and your plates. So your side plate will go on the left of the main plate. This is what we call the bread and butter plate, and this is where you would leave your utensils when you're finished eating. For example, your dessert spoon, etc. You would leave them there to be cleared, also where you would butter your bread. So we're going to put the pate knife on it. When placing it here, the only important thing to remember is the blade should be faced away from the diner. So when setting the plate, we're going to put it in the middle. I'm putting the underplate first and then the main dinner plate. And as mentioned to you, the napkin is going to go in the center. That's what makes it the European style. So for the cutlery, on the left are the forks. So this is based on a right-handed person. Sorry to all the lefties out there. So the fork would be placed on the left of the main plate. On the right of the plate, you would put the knives and the spoons. So we put the knives. The important thing to remember is the blade facing in. When setting a table, you have to keep it neat and tidy. All the pieces should be aligned at the bottom. So how we know where to place is it's placed in the order of use. So you would place on the outside the items you're going to use first. Further in is your main items. Those will be used last. So that's something important to remember. So your soup spoons, etc., are placed on the right next to the knife. So for the dessert cutlery, that is your dessert spoon and your dessert fork, you place it on the top of the main dish. So the important things to remember is the fork will face right and the spoon will face left, and the spoon will go on top of the fork. When you are eating with your dessert cutlery, it's important to remember to use the dessert spoon like a knife. You would cut into your pudding with it. You only use the fork to scoop the pudding onto the spoon. You eat with the spoon. If you are going to serve tea and coffee, you can put the tea and coffee cup and saucer onto the table when you're setting it. The option is up to you. If you decide to put it on the table, you can put it behind the wine glasses to the right. The only important thing to remember if you are going to include it is where to put the teaspoon. The teaspoon should go behind the cup and it should be placed at a 4 o'clock angle. We decided to use gold because at the moment gold is very fashionable, but it's also been around for many years. What's also lovely about the gold, it looks lovely during the day and at night, and it can carry a very simple table setting. For example, if you look here, there's very little on the table. It's actually a dark wooden table, and the gold lifts it up and carries it. So a set of gold cutlery is an excellent investment. You don't have to worry about it going out of date and not being able to use it, because it never will.
I have with me Nokutula Dlamini-Nxumalo, and she's designed this beautiful home that's seamlessly prepped for entertainment. She's been passionate about interiors for 12 years, but been in the business professionally for 6. Welcome, Nokutula.
Thank you, Pilani, for having me.
Sure, so tell us, I love this place and the space. I kind of think I have a feel for your style, but who better to describe it than yourself? What is your personal style and design?
I would actually say my personal style is really modern contemporary. I enjoy the modern and the clean lines and the era of the modern architecture, and this home really exemplifies that.
I believe you're also studying interior architecture and have plans to build a legacy with your business.
I absolutely do, and it's actually interesting because interior architecture is actually one of the subjects, or rather subject matter, that a lot of Black interior designers have not actually ventured into. And I'm very passionate about it, and I would like to actually have the technical skill to actually impact to Black African kids in South Africa.
Now, Hush Interiors is a name you came up with yourself. Where does that come from?
Hush Interiors is all about interesting spaces, but also it's really to bring in very calm spaces and to actually make sure that once I've left a home, a client can enjoy their peace and tranquility.
Who would you say are your role models in the industry?
Top of my list would be Paco from Paco Rugs, and at the moment he actually owns a company called Iluso. Paco has also been an inspiration to me as well as a mentor. I also do love Ntabita Kubong, and she's a personal friend, and I look up to her greatly because she embodies what I like about interior design. I do like Bilala from Life+Style, and also my brother Donald from DNX.
Are you guys family?
Yes, we are.
You know, I had this thought last night. I was like, are they family? Is this a thing?
Yes, we are.
Great, so much talent in the family.
Absolutely.
Noks, before we get into the break, we just want to chat about this living space that we're in. Tell us about your thinking here and what you intended to achieve.
The thinking behind the space is that as a family room, this is the heart of the home. This is where the family actually prepares their meals. But also when they're entertaining, this is where they generally convene and actually entertain. So the thinking behind it was that whilst we've got the kitchen, we need to bring in an L-shaped couch that can be used by the family, but also when they're entertaining, their guests can actually enjoy the space. It all opens up to the outdoor. It also opens up to the covered patio. So this space is very much interactive. The brief from the client was to make sure that when the kids come back from school, they can be able to watch TV while she's cooking. At the same time, we needed to set up a sitting area for them as a family. They can do their homework, they can eat here. So this is a functional space for them, and they live in the space.
I love that idea. I'm actually one of those, don't want to be a lonely cook. I want people to be around me when I cook.
Absolutely.
I think that works really well. After the break, we'll have a chat with Noks about the other entertainment areas in this space. Stay tuned. You're still watching Design for You, and I have with me Noks Dlamini-Nxumalo, and her and I are speaking about entertainment spaces. Noks, tell us about this house and what the brief was from client.
The client wanted a space that is fluid. She also wanted a space where she can entertain her family and friends, as well as a space where the children can grow old in. So one of the things that we did, seeing that the space is very modern and it's got a lot of clean lines, we brought in warm tones into the space.
What are the various entertainment areas here?
We have several entertainment areas. We've got the dining room, we have the bar area, we also have a living room, we have the boma area outside. We do also have a patio as well as an outdoor dining area.
And your intention in designing the spaces, let's talk about the patio in the back. What did you want to achieve there?
What we wanted to achieve there was a space that is actually integrated with the inside. So when you open the door, the space becomes one. So if you're entertaining, you don't actually have to be cut off from the conversations with your family and friends. Whilst doing that, we needed to marry the colors inside as well. We actually use a lot of grays, and that was taken from the feature walls outside.
I also noticed that there's a TV out there. It's very rare to find a TV in the patios. What was the client's thinking?
All the areas are meant to be for entertainment. As I said, you want to actually bring the outside in and the inside out. So all the areas in the space do have a television, so that when you're entertaining your clients, you don't necessarily have to leave the space and go into the family room.
Very considerate family. So this space versus the space we started in.
I would really call this the family room. You know, this is where basically the family convenes. Nowadays, we don't really have a lot of definition on spaces. This is just one of the reception areas.
Yes, that they can sit and have conversation.
Absolutely.
And when you're design thinking, are those things that you consider, inciting activity? Do you suggest what people should be doing in a space?
It's very important for one to understand how the client lives in their spaces. So being that the brief was they want a home that has fluidity and they want to entertain and they love entertaining. So one has to follow that, and therefore they can use the space as anything that they want to use it for, to be honest with you. I'm not necessarily prescriptive towards that, but I just basically follow the client and how they live in their spaces.
Mm-hmm. There's also a bar next to the family room, and how do you actually, bring these two spaces together?
The architect had already done most of the jobs for us. By actually using a different type of flooring, that space was already defined. So the living room speaks to the bar. If the client is entertaining and they've got a lot of friends, they can be in a position where they can interact. It's not closed off from the main home. Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about moods and how moods create the actual living in these spaces, particularly for entertainment. Yeah. This being the space that's close to the bar, what was your thinking around the colors to bring the particular mood?
That is a very interesting one, because the client actually came to me and she told me she loved teal. So everything that we did here was centered around the color teal. So designing the space was quite easy in the sense that because you've got the color that the client wants, everything else then needs to center around that. So the main colors became teal, and we actually broke it down with other fabrics that actually define the space. So in each and every area, you find that we've brought in a pop of color just to define the space, that this is the living area, this is the lounge, and this is the family room.
There's one more outdoor living space, which is the boma. Tell us about that.
When we came into the space, we actually did find the boma already there. So we then decided that let's make use of the space by including cushions, sitting cushions, as well as scutters. The reason for the boma really is for the client to enjoy their friends. I mean, in winter nights, you can have a bonfire and you roast your marshmallows and have a glass of wine. So it's really practical in that sense that you can have an outdoor space within the house that can fulfill different functions.
I like the idea of having a boma. I've never seen one in a home. Look, till every week we get a question from a viewer who sends us pictures of their home and they'd like your advice on something. Shall we tackle it?
Absolutely.
Our viewer would like to introduce a TV unit into this space. What advice can you give them?
Considering this is a small space and I can see that the viewer has a desk in the space, I would actually integrate the TV unit with the desk, and it would have to be bolted into the wall, and we have the TV unit mounted onto the wall.
So how would they actually do that? Have a desk that also lives as a TV unit?
They can do that by actually custom making a floating unit that can house all the components, as well as on the side it can be utilized as a study desk.
Let's talk about the decorative elements or the decorative side of this. Bring in a study unit, obviously it has to fit with the couch and the green ottoman. What kind of materials would you suggest?
I would suggest keeping it very simple and using superwood, probably sprayed white, and that would give it a clean finish, but also it would stand out in the space.
Thank you very much, Noktula. Please continue to send us images to info@thehomechannel.co.za. We're very happy to give you advice around your spaces. After the break, we have Adami of Copperleaf Studio, and she designed a sophisticated dinner party interior at this year's Design Joburg. Stay tuned to see more. Welcome back. Here's Adami of Copperleaf Studio, and let's see how she's designed her dinner party setting at this year's Design Joburg.
Sometimes an evening out at a luxurious restaurant is not as appealing as a home-cooked meal in an elegant dinner party setting. Adami of Copperleaf Studio shows us what she considers to be her kitchen goals at Design Joburg.
So the concept really came from what would I want the space to be if budget wasn't an issue, and if there were really no design limits. And that's what the show has really been able to do for us as designers. We've had no limits. So we started with our ideal situation, and then worked back from there. So partnered with people that could fulfill our dreams. So this is really my perfect space, and all the brands have come on board to showcase their newest and best products. This space is titled A Dinner Party, and we are showcasing an open plan kitchen dining room space, and the idea is that it's the ultimate in luxury. So we've used very cutting edge, very premium products. The purpose of the space is really to show people what is possible, to showcase a dining room setting and an entertainment space. So we really created our ideal idea of what a dinner party setting would be. So it's obviously close to the kitchen, a beautiful, luxurious, upmarket kitchen, and then we've chosen all our favorite furniture from our favorite designers and brands to create a very sumptuous, luxurious, comfortable space. And I think that's really important with mood lighting, ambient lighting, beautiful upholstered chairs in plush, luxurious velvet from Sinleja and Viney. And the chairs are made by JVB. Beautiful reflective surfaces. The whole look and feel is quite glamorous, but also very understated and practical, and you feel like you can really relax in the setting. I'm a very practical person. It doesn't sound like a glamorous explanation, but for me, the primary design focus is always practicality first, because I believe that that translates into a space that works well from a design point of view, and then dressing it up from there. I always want the spaces to be glamorous and luxurious and beautiful and layered, but primarily practical, because I think everything falls into place after that. The main elements are clean lines, so you'll see everything is very simple, very understated. There's nothing too crazy going on. and that's because I wanted the products and surfaces and finishes to speak for themselves. There's the beautiful neolith floors, which have a texture and a pattern, beautiful Caesar stone countertops, the unbelievable grain in the product, which you really can only appreciate if everything around it is quiet. And then, of course, textures. We've used a lot of textures, so I think that has created warmth and comfort. I think I really drew inspiration from what's out there in the design world at the moment. A lot of what's happening in product design is quite exciting. You have the neolith on the floor. It looks like concrete, but it's not concrete. You have the Caesar stone on the kitchen counters. It looks like marble, but it's not marble. So all these technologies really given us the ability to create amazing things. And so that was a big part of the inspiration, trying to use as much of the latest products as possible. I think one thing that I've learned, it seems quite simple, but was quite profound for me, is to limit your choices in terms of finishes. Choose, do a mood board beforehand, choose a limited amount of fixtures and finishes, and carry that language throughout the space, instead of trying to clutter it with everything that you've ever seen and loved. Rather pare it down, pare it back, keep it simple.
Splendid work there from Kelly Adami. Noktula, we've come to the end of the show, but we'd love one final piece of advice from you around entertainment spaces.
Entertainment spaces need to be lived in, they need to be functional, and they need to be casual. They should not feel contrived.
Or formal.
Or formal, yes.
Thank you very much, Noktula, for your time. I think this has been really insightful, and we wish you all the best with your career.
Thank you very much.
From me, Pilani Bubu, this is Design for You, and we're here to keep you inspired.